When you come into the new world and you're ready to stay and you can't go back anymore, you burn the ships. We're talking about that today with Pastor Andrew. Welcome to the 167.
1, 2, 3, let's go!
Hey, welcome to the 167. My name's Pastor Lucas, and this is Carissa Full Stop Motley.
Okay, there was context ahead of that. I don't know where we're actually starting this recording today. But... Okay, hard stop. Welcome to the 167.
I think that's the intro. Hard stop. Welcome. It was full stop. It was just full stop Motley. And then this is Andrew.
Come on, snappy nickname. Let's
Balloon Face Head
Also,
Lewis.
also an inside joke. Sorry, everybody.
Hey, we're just one sweet Brittany away from a Goo Goo Dolls reunion
Oh my
concert.
gosh.
I know. And I am Lucas No Context Motley.
It feels accurate.
Welcome to the 167. Hey, we would love for you to get all of our inside jokes, and you could probably do that mostly by staying tuned to the 167 each week. So hit that subscribe button, like it, do whatever you need. Leave us a 5-star rating, and if you're catching us on YouTube, it's great to see your face because we can see you back through the screen.
I did used to think that's how it worked when I was a kid. I
Then it's like a
remember,
webcast.
I remember watching, I didn't think if it was a cartoon, I knew they couldn't see me. But if it was real people, I absolutely thought they could see me. So I thought Corey Matthews could see me. So I was trying to look real presentable.
Really well behaved.
Like, this is not YouTube. This is just a Zoom meeting
Yeah.
with a million people.
We didn't know that there was such a thing as Zoom meetings.
Hey, Andrew's with us today.
Hey,
I don't
Andrew's
know if
with
you
us
know
today.
this because he was preaching on Sunday.
I did know that.
Did you?
I experienced that
I was
twice, actually. It was great.
I was not there. I was somewhere else
True. You weren't
You
there.
were guest speaking somewhere
in
else.
Paola. But yeah, we started a new series, which is also the brainchild of our very own Andrew Lewis.
Scary.
I know, but it's called Burn the Ships. And so Burn the Ships, you were kind of telling us, is that moment where, Cortez comes to the New World and his men are like, what if we go back home? And he's like, no, and just burns the ships to the ground so there's no going back. So what, for you guys, can you remember and kind of look back in your life and you realize now that was a burn the ships moment for you? It was like, oh, there is no going back from this point.
Looking at me, looking at you.
I thought of a couple things. So I'll save one in case we get into it later. But after I graduated from college, I remember having this moment. It was a weird summer. I graduated from college. I was planning to just take a gap year and then go to grad school the following year. And I had a job lined up and I was going to get an apartment with a friend. And I ended up traveling with a worship team all summer, doing camps and stuff, just
Playing the accordion.
No,
Oh.
not the accordion. It was a weird summer. I actually lost my voice, and so I couldn't sing. There was a whole lot of stuff happened. I was going through a really bad breakup, blah, blah, blah. Right? But I had this whole
Yeah, way to
plan
fumble that bag,
for
Matt.
I'm glad you went through
really
that
had
breakup.
a whole plan for my life, though, coming out of that. And I came back home, and it was really, really obvious that God gave me an opportunity to do something else, which was take an internship at a church a couple hours away from where I lived, and I knew nobody there. So it was I had got the opportunity through a friend of a friend, right? Kind of knew these people, but in name only. And I remember really, really wrestling through, I have this plan, literally getting ready to sign a lease on an apartment with my friend. And 2 days before, being up in the middle of the night, just what am I I have this other thing now. God brought this other thing into my life, and very clearly I could see. I mean, I was only 21, but I was if I do this, right, everything changes, right? Everything is different. This is going to change everything, and I have to leave behind everything here in my current life. It was the town I'd grown up in. My family lived there. My friends were all there, right? I had a job. I had all the things. And it was very familiar and comfortable. But at the same time, I could see that there was this other thing that God was I'm giving you this opportunity. I just remember crying and like praying and like staying up all night and like really having this like breakdown about, I think I know that this is the right thing to do, but it means leaving all of this behind. And so it was really scary. And so if I look at that now, and I did make that choice to take the internship, which, you know, then again, you look back in hindsight, I'm like, we would never have met if I hadn't taken that internship and wouldn't be here. And so like so many things, I doubt it. I'm going to be honest. So many things that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have done that. But it's like, I did have to totally say goodbye to everything that I had like grown up with and become familiar with and comfortable with. And so it really, like, now I can look at it and be like, oh yeah, I really did burn those ships. Like that was not something I could go back to once I had made this choice. So that's mine that I thought of.
What about you, Andrew?
I also could think of a few, and I will also not say them all, and maybe they'll come up later. But I think for me, I would say this could probably be, don't need to cover up the mic.
Let's whisper.
Sorry. This could probably be spread across all my examples, this idea of not holding on to like secrecy in some of the things that I'm battling or trying to stop or trying to do the right thing or decision making, whatever. But I would say a good way in my experience to burn some of these ships is to say it out loud to the person that you need to say it to. And it just makes it real, and you can't go back to having not said that. So if there was, for example, there was someone that I was blaming for something, that someone that I held offense against, someone that I had not forgiven, someone that I was blaming for all these things. And it just kept happening, and I kept thinking, I want to forgive them. It just kept being a thing that I realized, no, I'm still stuck in this. And so really I felt like eventually when it became a real thing, because I went to them and spoke to them and confessed these things and said, I've held this against you. I've blamed you for so many of these issues, my own decisions that no one made me do. This is my thing. I've blamed you. I've held this against you. I'm not going to do that anymore. That was like it made it real. Like
saying something out loud, you can't take it back.
Yeah. That really helped me. And so then learning that lesson now, that's happened a few times now where I'm saying something that really needed to be said to the person that you really feel called to say it to. That burns that ship of secrecy. It burns that ship of like this fake thing. It makes it real.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true.
I think for me, it was 2 points in our relationship. I'm about to do the romance, so take notes.
Glad I'm here for this.
It's gonna get real awkward.
I don't know what he's gonna say, so this should be fun.
No, I think
this should be
so.
good.
Like, if people don't know, like, I broke up with Carissa at one point.
Oh, this story, yeah.
So I was uncertain. We had been dating for a year, and I was uncertain that I wanted to get married, and so I was like, no. And so I broke up with her, and then hence the summer that she was away is how I refer to it.
That's what he calls it, the summer that I was away. Like I decided that.
Yeah, it wasn't her. Yeah.
No, makes him feel better about himself.
I broke up with her, and so I literally I realized the error of my ways during that summer. And
because you're smart.
Because I'm smart. I was becoming wise. And so I decided, I was like, oh, no, I made a mistake and we need to get married. And so that was like this, I literally had to stalk her because she was away at camp and stuff like that. And so I'm like waiting for her to get home because I knew she wasn't going to take my phone call. And so I like had to like enlist her roommates to be like, when is Carissa coming home? I needed to show up at your door and, you know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's what he did too. He just showed up at the house.
It's like, hey, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? And she said no. And I was like,
so
okay.
Then you had to do the Love Actually like signs.
Yeah, like I was like, okay, and I didn't leave. Basically, I'm like, will you let me take you to dinner to at least apologize? And she said, fine.
Chili's?
No, it was Blackstone.
It was nice. It was a nice dinner.
Yeah, so I took her to a nice dinner, and then I basically said, you know, I would like another shot at this. If you give me another shot, I'm in it to win it. I'm in it for marriage. And she said no. And then I would not let her leave basically until she agreed to go on another date. And I basically did that for...
She was just looking for some dinners.
Yeah, it was like, what
can I get out of this?
And so we did that 3 or 4 times, I think, before she let me try again. And so it was like, it was very much, I had to like call her parents, and there was some really untying the knots that I did. But then it's kind of like what you said too. Like, so then later on in our marriage, when I finally, came out and said and confessed to Carissa that I had been engaged in pornography and doing that, that was another one of those like, oh,
Yeah.
let's see what happens here. And it's like you said, where it's like, I have to fully commit to this, otherwise you'll never be free of it.
For sure.
And so you have to say that, and then you're essentially putting your fate into the other person's hands.
Yeah.
So
True.
we were talking about that, really about when do you burn the ships, like, and you were kind of, I didn't see them personally, but I heard the graphics were incredible.
Our 10-year-old loved them. She said, "Mommy, those ships were so funny."
Good. Because I was trying not to disturb the children.
It's like, I don't know if that was your intended goal, but
I don't know what
the
my
middle
goal
schoolers
was.
liked the ships, I heard.
I had no, I was just making them and just cracking myself up making them.
I knew that's what
And-
happened.
Probably far too little thought went into it.
Well,
Okay.
I did enjoy the visual because if you don't know, like ships like that, like transatlantic ships back then, you don't run them up on the shore. You anchor them offshore. And it was like, we're just keeping them afloat, just out of the distance. We can see them. They're still there. If I want to take a rowboat out there, I can go visit it. And it's like, but we're talking about when to burn that down and when not. And we're talking about the scene in the Bible where Christ is saying, hey, I have to do this. Like, I have to go and I have to die for the sins. Like, there's no going back from this. This is the thing that's about to happen. And Peter comes up to him and is like, no, you don't have to do that. And so I kind of wanted to start by asking, like, where have you guys seen that, or what do we do as Christ followers sometimes where we are allowing our ships to keep floating? Like, how do we sometimes watch people or we ourselves become Peter for other people, where someone says, you know what, I just think that I need to get rid of this in my life, and we're like, no, it's like, you're not that bad. Like, where have you seen us do that, where we're actually helping and enabling other Christians to keep their stuff afloat?
Ooh, enabling. What do you think, Andrew?
Was just trying to explain the difference between being nice and being kind to my 7-year-old.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. So I've had a, habitual nice guy for a very long time, like too nice, where I'm not being kind because I'm doing that. I'll try to make you feel better, try to avoid the difficult thing that needs to be said, try to not lead properly or serve properly because I just don't want to be mean, or I don't want to, stir the pot in a way that is unpleasant at all, avoiding truth, avoiding the thing that really needs to be said. So when someone comes to me and says they're struggling with something, maybe I would prioritize my own comfort in that moment rather than delving into the hard truth and really addressing what needs to be addressed.
Well, and I think you touched on the truth of that, which is a lot of times we go, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to hurt their feelings. But many times that is more about, I don't want to be uncomfortable. Like, I don't want them to think I'm mean, rather than you're actually concerned for the other
But
person.
also, I think the comfort piece is also, if they're doing, if someone is like, man, I'm ready to burn this ship of, let's say, shame. Those are the ones you talked about on Sunday. I'm going to burn this ship of shame. I'm not going to live a life of shame. I'm not going to be tethered to that. I'm not going to have that like in my rearview mirror. And you are still not in that place, then you are not comfortable with them getting that freedom, right? Like, then that feels also like, so there's two different, I think, ways to feel comfortable, where you're going like, oh, I want you to like me. I don't want you, blah, blah, blah. But also then like, what if I'm not in the same spot that someone else is and they're moving forward, but like, I'm not ready to move forward. And that makes me really uncomfortable to watch someone else get,
Because now I feel convicted.
out of that. Now I feel convicted. Yeah.
you
Now
see
I
that
feel like, oh no.
I think you see that when people have a mutual enemy. Like, they
Okay,
get together
yep.
and they're like, isn't so-and-so so awful? Oh, yeah, we hate that person. And then somebody goes, I think that we should stop talking bad about this person and forgive them. And the other person is
They're not ready.
You're
They're
like,
not ready.
no.
Like,
It's
hey.
like,
Yeah.
I enjoy this. We get together and we trash talk this person. This is our thing.
Yeah.
This is what brings us together is
Yeah.
to hate on this other person.
I remember a time, I don't know how old I was, 20 or something, and a friend said, I think I want to throw my TV, like, just throw it in the trash can. I'm like, huh?
You paid a lot for that team.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
And they were like, no, I don't need it. It's hurting me. I'm watching things I shouldn't watch. I'm wasting time. My priorities are just all out of whack. And I'm just feeling like this really strong calling to just throw my TV away. And that made me so uneasy because I'm like, no, because then I don't want to, like, we talk about TV shows. Like, I don't want to.
Yeah. What are we going to bond
No,
about?
so like subconsciously, I'm like, well, there's good things you can watch, but just dumb. Like they felt a fine conviction to feel, and I wasn't there at all, and I knew they were right probably, and I just tried to like talk them out of it for my own comfort.
Mm.
And they're trying to burn a ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like
Yeah.
literally trying to burn a ship that needed to get burnt.
Did he look at you and say, "Get behind me, Satan"?
No, I don't think he did.
Maybe we should start doing that more,
Yeah.
right?
Get behind me.
I mean, really, you're talking to Satan. You're just so it's not like you're really calling them Satan.
But I love that Jesus says that he follows up and he's like, "You are a stumbling block to me." Like what an incredible thing that if somebody actually turned around and said that to you, where you're like, no, we can get together and gossip about this. But it's like, you are a stumbling block to me.
You're a dangerous trap right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a dangerous thing.
My mom said I can't hang out with you anymore. You're a dangerous trap.
Well, and I think that sometimes Christians do that too. We've seen it in Freedom, and it's a pet peeve of mine that it's like the platitudes of secularism work their way into Christianity, where it's like I always harp on the same one, which is Chris is sick of hearing about. But like every time that I pray for women, a very common thing for women to say is, "I don't feel like I'm enough," and everybody chimes in, "Girl, you're enough. You're so great." And I'm like, "No, you are trash. Like you are all your righteousness is like filthy rags, and you are not enough." And that's why Jesus came and died for you, so that you could be enough through Christ. And it's like, but there's just these little twists of truth that are platitudinal that work their way into
Well-meaning.
Christianity. And there are well-meaning, but I think again it goes back to we want them to feel good,
Yes.
and so that we delay
You
truth.
can mean well and not have the right.
No, Jesus, that'll never happen to you.
Right.
You're so big and strong.
Yeah, I don't think Peter was just trying to be the worst dude ever, right? He just was
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah. Well, and you were talking about how if the past is dead and gone, then the past is no longer your name. Really sinking into identity, because that's, a big thing for people is where they find their identity. And so you talked about those things as like grips, like things that we're holding on to. And so why do you think that we grip these things? Because I truly believe that when people hold on to things, it's because it benefits them in some way. It's like there is some bit like we were talking about before. I was just like, nobody like gets their arm caught in a bear trap and is like, this is fine. It's the house burning down meme. It's like there's something about it that is giving them something that they need, and that's why they really want it. So what is it about these things? Why are we still gripping onto them? And what benefits do you think that those have for people?
I think that you see a lot of times, first of all, a fear that if I truly let go of this thing, right? If this truly is no longer me, then who am I? Right? A lot of times I think we don't know who we are without that other identity. And we probably know it's faulty, right? But we don't necessarily know who we are without it, right? So this is one of the things that, like, again, in Freedom Ministry, you and I talk to people about a lot. Like, this is one of my big problems with programs like AA is that you come in every week and you say,
I'm an alcoholic.
I'm an alcoholic, right? I'm an addict. You are identifying as that for the rest of your life. And all you're saying is, I'm trying to get better at not doing this thing, right? But I'm still this person. That's still my identity. And so in Freedom Ministry, right? And like you were talking about, you had some great points that you made about the past and like deliverance and like why, if you've been delivered from something, why are you still like looking at it as something that's appealing, right? Like all these kinds of ideas again, where it's like, if you're not that person, why are you still identifying as that person? I think a big part of it is fear, right? Like, I don't know who I am without that. I've been that for so long that I don't know who I am without that, right? Like a lot of, again, to talk about, like a lot of women really struggle with like, oh, I control. Control is a big problem. I always want to be in control. I'm always struggling with control. I know that it's a problem, but if I really surrender control, like, who am I? How do I operate? What do I do? Does that change me? Then it's scary. I think there's fear about that. And so that it can be hard to be like, this is how I've always known myself, and this is how other people have always known me. So then who am I if I don't have that anymore?
Well, I think that's also the benefit in that too, is if you are a control freak, you're organized.
Oh, sure. There's a lot of ways we soften that. I feel like that's a very common thing that people, like, especially again, women, we particularly were like, I'm really organized. I'm really type A.
You're so
I'm
put
really,
together.
I'm so like,
It brings me joy.
there's a lot of ways that hides itself and masks itself, and that we do take some pride in that too. That it's like, yeah, I have control over all this stuff, and I've done that. And I, not to get on this as a specific thing too much, but I do think that it is really common to find like, oh, as there's a thing that God's calling you to, like, you need to burn that ship and leave that behind. But there's a fear of like, again, in the metaphor of like, they literally burned the ships because they didn't want to have an escape route. Right. So like, I think we mostly want an escape route.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we want to have something to go back to.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and those names, I mean, that goes very well with what I was going to say. So the names that we call ourselves, that we like subconsciously feel like we benefit from, we feel like a security having that ship back there, like in the back of our mind. We say, the first thing I had was addict, failure, unworthy. I'm just angry. I'm damaged. I'm just unwanted. All those things that are so easy to feel because the world is so worldly.
Yeah.
It just is so easy for that to happen. And we're sinful, and we do sinful things, and it just stirs it all up. But if you, like we said on Sunday, if you bear his name, if you are a believer in Christ, you are a child of God. You are his beloved. You are redeemed. You are a new creation. Those are the better names. Those are the better titles. So burning the ships means refusing to keep answering to the names that God never gave you.
Yeah.
God never wrote that down
Right.
as your name.
Right.
But you're going around introducing yourself like that. And
Well,
it's
that's
just
good.
easy to do it. It's so, to me, I'm not struggling. I'm surrendering I'm
Yeah.
surrendering this thing that I do that is just to be self-deprecating. Someone told me back in COVID times, what a time, what a great time.
The old time, back during the plague.
Back in the old
Yeah,
days.
literally, we could say during the plague, I had to preach a couple times to a camera. And that was just the most awkward thing ever. Baby deer out of the womb. Had no idea. It just felt so bad. But I'm just sitting here preaching to the camera, and I feel like this like lack of confidence just kind of won, and the awkwardness just kind of won. And the thing when it aired for my whole church to watch, I had a few true friends, not the people who were being nice,
Yeah.
who were saying good job. Like, it was not a good job. You're lying. Well, couple of
You're like,
true
even I see
good.
the
I mean,
truth.
I knew it wasn't good. I had a friend. His name is Chris Wilson, and he said, "Man, I feel like all you did during that thing was just be self-deprecating. I feel like all you did was just put yourself down during that sermon." I'm like, yeah, that's not good, is it? But you're right. Like, watching it back, like, oh my goodness, all I did was just say, I'm not a preacher. I'm not gonna blah, blah, blah. Just put myself down. And so I think I do that when I'm spiraling, when I'm nervous, when I'm not confident. I just will, even when someone compliments me, I can become uncomfortable with that and say, no, I'm actually trash. Like,
Yeah. It's false humility.
this is not the name. Yeah.
Which is a really interesting thing about you, because every time I hear you talk about your wife, you only ever say awesome things about her. It's, I
Well, that's
mean,
easy to
it's
do.
like really, but I mean, I love it. I love hearing you talk about Brittany, and like you're so complimentary and so positive, and you're like, Brittany's awesome at everything, right? And so the fact
True.
that, like, yeah, facts, Brittany. Shout out to Brittany Lewis. Let's give Brittany Lewis a big shout out. We like
has
her
Many
a lot.
qualities and skills.
We like her a lot. So, but I love the, like, you always talk about her so positively, and then to hear you be like, you don't do that about yourself, right? Isn't that such an interesting thing that we can see things in other people and do things for other people, but then like that's not for me.
Right.
It's not me. Like I it's for other people, but it's
There's
not for
deep
me.
stuff behind that. We're working on it.
Okay. All right.
Well, yeah, and like I said, when you get freedom of that, like you're saying, why would you look back on that shame? And it becomes very nostalgic, and it becomes almost a defense mechanism. Like you said, it's like I'm not a control freak. I'm organized, or I'm not self-deprecating. You know, I'm humble. You know, and it's like I'm not angry. I'm tough. You know, like and people like they start to kind of paint it in a different light to kind of get there. I was sharing with you guys this morning. I watched a Instagram reel. It was an interview with somebody who was detransitioning, and they had come to Christ. And this person said, you know, I gave my life to Christ, and I was crying, and I was praying out, crying out to God. And God said, he goes, God spoke to me. He said, Aaron's not in the book of life. And they were like, oh, what do you mean I'm not in the book of life?
She said.
I believe so. I'm a little confused as to what was happening, but I believe she said she had picked a boy's name and said, you know, Aaron's not in the book of life. And she said, you know, what do you mean this person isn't in the book of life? Like, and then she said, and it just occurred to me, that's not who God created me to be. I made this person up. Like I just created them out of whole cloth
Yeah.
and decided that that's who I was.
Yeah.
And I even thought about that. I'm like, what are the names that we're calling ourselves that God doesn't even know? Like when you're talking about like you show up to AA and you're like, I'm an addict. And like, I don't know if you could show up to heaven. They're like, we're looking for your name here. Be like, oh, I'm one of the addicts. And it's like, oh, there are no addicts in heaven. There's no, you know, there's no drug addicts in heaven. There's only children of God. And it's like, so that's not how we're categorizing you. It's not like, oh, here's the drunks and here's the liars and, you know, like, and not, oh, I pulled this volume off and that's where your name is. It's like, no, there are only children of God. You're only written in the Lamb's Book of Life. But you pointed out to us something too that as we're talking about this, when we give up things like control or, you know, kind of this idea of ourselves, a lot of times we mourn it. Like you see people that are like, I miss who I used to be. And that's kind of, you know, again, this ship that's floating offshore is, man, remember the old country? You know,
Well,
it's like,
you're optimizing
Yeah.
it in your mind.
yeah.
Remember how it was back in Spain?
Yeah.
Remember back in Egypt, we had 3 square meals
Yeah.
and a cot?
Yeah, we had all the fruits and vegetables
Yeah.
we could want back in
Yeah.
Egypt when we were
You were
slaves.
slaves.
Where we were being worked to death
Yeah.
and beaten, you're right? Like, yeah, it was great back there.
Well, my favorite thing is that it says that basically the Israelites looted Egypt when they leave. They take
Right.
all the gold. I'm just picturing them like draped in jewels, like, did you bring us out here to die? You know, like just covered.
Flav clock.
Yeah, just covered
Super,
in rings. Be like,
like-
we are so oppressed. What is this? Just like biting their gold and like, you know, like,
What are we
And then
supposed
they
to
made
do
it-
with all this gold in the
Let's make
desert?
an idol out of it.
Right, let's make some golden calves.
Wrong again. Dang
Cool.
it.
like, here, drink this. But you told us that it's not that necessarily we're leaving this thing, but he's called us out into marvelous light. And so how should we feel about our past? Because obviously that becomes our testimony. You know, so how do we speak of our past? Do we mourn it as years that we lost? You know, are we allowed to be
tough.
sad about it? Are we, you know, allowed to say, you know, some people take pride in it. They're like, I smoked crack for 4, you know, like you all heard that testimony where the person spends more time glorifying and giving you the details of what they did than what Christ
juicy.
did for them. Yeah. So how should we think of our past after we've received salvation from that and how after we've received freedom from that?
Man, I have felt exactly what you just said. The tension between mourning time lost is what it has felt like a lot. Like, man, I spent so much of my life being like that. And then that's, you know, maybe it goes in like a roller coaster, because maybe at one point you say, okay, now I realize I've been doing this. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm giving this to the Lord. I'm seeing progress. He's changing me. He's convicting me. I'm ready to be honest about this. I'm ready to confess. And then for me, it has creeped in like, then you're making progress and you're a new person, and you see on the other side of that what life looks like not being in that, and you go, oh my gosh, years I spent
Right.
like that.
Right.
I wasted this year. Is what it can feel like. I think
Yeah.
that's from the enemy.
Yeah.
You wasted all this time.
Yeah.
So even though you've got it in a better place now, you missed it. There's no point. So I felt that, and then it does feel like you're mourning wasted, lost time. But then it's the roller coaster goes around again, and God speaks a better word, and says, no, man. In my timing, this is all happening. You learned so many things then. Some of that was having to say. Some of that was things that were done to me. Some of that was things that I can't blame myself for, that I just had to learn, and God taught me, and that's great. So we see the progress now, and we can't just keep looking back. And I think that was one of my most profound things that God taught me in getting ready for this message, was if he's called you out of darkness, then we're not supposed to just forever be sad about the darkness we were once in. We're supposed to walk in joy in this new marvelous light. That is really hard, though.
Yeah, and I think that like you also, again, like there's a sense of anytime you are leaving something behind, right? Even if you know that you should, right? Even if you know, like I said, that time after college, where I was like, I knew this was the right thing to do, but I also knew that it meant I was leaving all this stuff behind. And it felt sad, right? It felt like, okay, this is...
Well, that wasn't even a bad thing.
It wasn't a bad thing, but it was just like you're saying, like I knew God had something better and different. And so I think sometimes that we tend to look at an old behavior or an old sin pattern, and there's something comfortable about it, right? There's something that you like, you can look at it and objectively know that it wasn't great, right? Like you can objectively know like that time in my life was not optimal. That behavior was not great, that habit, that addiction, that whatever, right? Like that was not good. But, right, like I think we think like that, like, oh, I know that wasn't good, but, right, like in our attempt sometime to find a silver lining, right, sometimes we're like, I'm trying to see what God brought good out of that, but I think also then we're like, oh, I have this memory and I remember this, and like you said, it's nostalgic in some ways if it's been a significant time in your life. And you know, like, I just think we tend to, like you're saying, like optimally look back on things. We put on those rose-colored glasses, and sometimes maybe we're even like, oh, it wasn't that bad.
Right, you forget.
You forget, like, again, like the Israelites, like they're like, well, it wasn't that bad in Egypt. We had food.
Right.
You were getting whipped.
Right. I mean, we were also dying, but you know, like we
Yeah.
had food. So I think we do that
Decked
too.
out in
We weren't
jewelry.
treated as
Remember we
humans.
used to make bricks?
Now we're walking in the desert.
But I think we do the same thing, right? Like you look at what's in front of you sometimes. I don't know, like we were talking through this question. I was like, I feel like sometimes we grieve the old
It's familiar.
because it's familiar and comfortable and it's who we are for so long, and we just like
We know how
to
to
sit
do
in
that.
it. And instead of like, we sit in grief rather than victory, right? Like you don't look at what Jesus has done for you sometimes and be like, I'm going to walk in victory. Sometimes you're like, oh, that means I have to leave all this behind.
It's an unknown
Kinda sad.
versus the known
Right.
thing.
Right. So I don't know. I think that there's a weird tension there between those two things.
Well, I think there's also a weird tension every time that you come into a new revelation, right? Every time you come into a new revelation, you're like, I'm free. There is this newness of it that it's like, oh, other people don't have this revelation, so I feel a little bit alone. So
Sure.
I reorientate who I'm hanging out with because I need that new revelation.
Reorient.
Oh, my bad.
Reorientate.
Reorientated.
I wasn't gonna correct you.
I was gonna make a CCM
I'm gonna
joke.
let
but
Andrew
proud
do
of you.
that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'm a recovering
you
corrector.
You didn't have to control it. And
I wasn't as much correcting you as confirming
Reorient.
what I thought it really was
Yes.
out loud. Like reorient,
Reorient.
is a word.
You have to
It
reorient your
is.
relationships, and I think that that's one of the biggest things that I've seen with people, and even in my own life, of it changes the way that you interact with people, and sometimes it changes the people that you're interacting with.
Right.
Oh yeah,
When
Right.
people get saved, all of a sudden they're like, all my friends want to do is party. And
that's a big ship to burn sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. To leave that all behind.
It's terrible. And like, because you want people to come with you. Like, you're kind of at the shore beckoning them,
But if they won't,
then you have to walk away from it.
For sure.
So I want to kind of talk about these things as we're wrapping up. You said this earlier, is the I'm struggling versus I'm surrendering. So I want to talk a little bit about, lately I've been into explaining Christianese. And so when we're like, you have to surrender it. What does that mean? So if I'm not struggling with it, I'm surrendering it. What does that actually look like? If I'm trying to explain that to somebody like they're in third grade, what does it mean that I'm surrendering something in my life?
I thought that was great phrasing, by the way. I liked that a
well,
lot.
thanks.
So tell us what it means.
I think that Carrie Underwood said it best.
Oh, no.
No, don't say it. Don't say it.
But I mean, really, if you think about it, it is a great example.
People are going to crash their cars listening to this podcast.
Don't do it while you're driving. It's not even about driving, okay? It's about life. I like to think. But really, if you think about, it's a steering wheel. I mean, somebody has to drive the car, or you
Are you
die.
saying that life is a highway
no,
and I want to drive it all night long?
wrong song.
Oh.
Yeah, Rascal Flatts version way better. Okay, so
Ka-chow.
if you actually take your hands off the wheel, that is scary, and let him actually take the wheel. That really is a thing, and surrendering is way different than struggling. And you know what's funny is that in my last sermon that I preached, I talked about how struggling was a good thing. So it's funny how you can just make words mean whatever you want. But struggling, and in that context, struggling was actually trying to be well, like actually trying to move in the right direction, as opposed to just stagnating. So in that one, it was
Okay,
stagnating,
yeah.
not struggling. This one is struggling, not surrendering. But whatever. You know what I mean? It's choosing
Now
to
that's your
say,
new sermon, is that moving from those 3 points.
sure, yeah. Surrendering is me saying, Jesus, I cannot do this without you. And just being honest about that and really understanding that and recognizing the ways that you are trying to do it without him. Recognizing the ways that you're trying to do it yourself. There are things that I have struggled,
Yeah.
and like I was holding onto that pulpit, like this is what I'm doing. I'm just trying to stop doing something. I'm just trying to cold turkey
I'm going to white knuckle.
Andrew strength this thing, and maybe I can do it for a while, and then and the devil's like, see, yeah, you don't need him, and then it crashes so hard because I'm just trying to stop doing something all on my own, and I'm not at all admitting that I can't do it without Jesus. I can't do it without good support, good truth, accountability.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that you touched on I thought was good in this was about repentance, where you said repentance isn't just about saying you're sorry, but you change your
It's more than
mind.
saying sorry.
Oh, no. Is this a song? I don't know.
Never mind.
Oh.
If you know, you know.
Andrew has a whole encyclopedia of songs.
This feels like a Daniel Tiger song.
Definitely not. I believe this was from a movie, and Anna Faris was singing this. So we'll talk about it.
Anyways,
Moving on.
but like repentance is changing your mind about something. So if I say, if I'm, lying to somebody and being like, it's okay, like it doesn't hurt their feelings. And then you actually shift the way that you see that and go, no, like you said, that's not kindness. That is protecting my own comfort. And so like, if you can change the way you think of it, you'll change the way that you act. And so like, I think that that's like a really good example you touched on in your message, where it's like, okay, so if I'm surrendering this in my life, I have to be able to say that. Like I have to be able to go, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. But like going, oh, no. This is not even what I think it is anymore. And I'm
You have
releasing
to reorient your mind.
Yes.
that. You have to reorientate it.
Renew your mind.
It's I was going to say, it's the renewing your mind process.
Reoriental it.
I think that there's something too about like surrender. So a great definition I heard in a sermon about what is pride is pride is trusting in your own strength, your own wisdom, and your own righteousness. And the Bible tells us that God hates pride in us because that means we're not trusting in his strength, his righteousness, his wisdom, right? And so like you're saying, it's me trying, and I just think it's the word try. Like anytime people are like,
Strive.
I'm trying to do better, I'm trying, like that's never gonna work. And that's the thing, is I think we get stuck in that mentality of I have to try harder. I
Yoda
have
said it
to
best.
do or do not. There is no try. I knew that one.
I'm trying
I knew
to
that
do
one. Meh. So it's like, but I just
She
think
didn't
we
get divorced.
slip into that. Oh, I don't do impressions.
Oh, Mike would pay money to see you try to talk like Yoda.
Nope, not gonna do it. But it's like I just think we get stuck in that so much of like, okay, I know, even if it's like I know God's calling me to let go of this thing, or God's calling me to do something different, or to change a habit or start a habit or whatever, and we just get into like, all right, I just got to try. I just got to really, really like you're saying, like white knuckle it, like buckle down, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it. And that's not like, that is struggling, right? Like that's the struggle. That's the like, I'm wrestling with a thing. And I think there is a season for wrestling sometimes, but eventually you can't just keep struggling with it. You can't just keep wrestling with it.
Even when you give it to God, it's going to be a struggle.
Sure.
You're still going to be fighting your flesh. But
Sure.
You're just not doing it all by yourself.
Well, and there's like, I told you I was probably going to say this, but there's been Lucas at one point.
She warns me ahead of time. She's like, I'm going to call you out on the podcast.
I'm going to tell you a
I'm like,
story about Lucas
"That's
right now,
great."
which is that, you know, and you're very open about this in your testimony, but that you used to really struggle with anger and struggle with
I
anger.
struggle with being a total jerk.
Same girl, same.
So
Oh, boy.
I always say it's a good thing that we met when we did, and not like in high school or college, because I probably wouldn't have liked you very much. But there's times where in our marriage even that you've been like, oh, if you only knew how much I'm like restraining myself right now, right? Like if you only knew like who I was and how I used to react to these situations and how much self-control I'm exercising, like that's struggling, right? Then you're struggling with your anger still. Like you're not surrendering it.
Yeah. Until you said what to me?
I don't remember exactly what I said, but because I don't do quotes very well. But like I
we were in
said,
the car and she said, I don't know, how long are you going to hold on to that?
well, like how long are you going to keep telling me how lucky I
If you
am
have
that
to keep
like if
saying
if you
that-
have to keep saying
Well, what you said to me is it's been 15 years. How long are you going to hold on to that? Because we've been married for 15 years.
right, so you have always told me that, like, oh, if only you knew how much I was, you know, how much I'm not letting my anger out. at
Well, that is
you.
very remarkably similar to myself as well. And Brittany knows all the same things. And one of the things that I enjoy telling Brittany now in life is, and we're about to be on year 13, I guess, in marriage. And sometimes I'll just have a realization where something just happened. And in the past, I would have been a tornado of anger and unpleasantness and unChristlikeness. And she knows it and I know it. And I just go, you know what's cool is that it's not a chore for me to not do that right now. Like,
Yeah.
God has changed it. Like, I did not just have to do a massive internal battle. The new me kicked in, and that's all from God. And we're both just like, this is better. This
That's
is
so
so much
cool.
better.
This is great.
I hope that is a testimony for you and your anger, because when you're like, I would be a tornado of anger, in my head, all you did was like knock over a can.
Yeah.
I'm upset.
Oh no, Brittany's been kind and patient, and she'll just say, you know, hey, this is way better. Like, this is way better.
But I also love that, right? Like Lucas and I are like, you struggle with anger, right? Like that's a surprising thing to us.
That's great to hear.
I know, and we have another friend like that who he tells his testimony. He's like, I struggled with anger, and I'm always like,
You?
really? Like I
Yeah.
would never know that about you. And so I think that is, again, like now you're not struggling with it, right? Like I've surrendered this, and I
Not that I'm perfect, but
can tell a
yeah.
difference in how I respond. I think that's one of the ways that you're like, oh yeah, I can tell I've surrendered this. Like I've let go of a lot of this.
Well, I think surrender, like we were talking about this, about taking your thoughts captive. But I
Yeah.
think for me, surrender, like the practical way that I do surrender is I have to stop myself. right? Like you have to stop your thought spiral and go, because that's what people do. Like, I was really worried about this and I laid it at the foot of Jesus. And I'm like, how long did that last? An hour?
Right.
You know, like,
Right.
because, you know, it's like, well, you know, we were going through financial burdens and I just laid that at the foot of Jesus. And I'm like, and then you got home and another bill came in the mail.
Yeah, it's not like it did.
Doesn't stop. It doesn't go away.
Right, but you have to be able to speak the truth. Because if you fortify yourself with platitudes, it is like tinfoil armor. Like, it really is. It's like, you know, if you go, Jesus has got this. And it's like,
Took the wheel.
yeah, Jesus, take the wheel. And I'm like,
Like, oh,
okay.
let God. Hobby Lobby.
And then you get another bill
Yep.
in the mail. You can't just ignore it. You know,
But
but
like, no, Jesus paid it all.
But if you say, yeah, Jesus. But if you go, no, the scripture tells me that, you know, behold the lilies of the field and the birds of the air, and even they are fed, and God was not going to abandon me. I'm God's child. Like, if you can quote scripture and battle it that way in your mind, and you're not just doing battle in your flesh, but in your heart and in your mind and in your spirit, and be able to say, like, I love that Jesus turns to Peter and says, "Get behind me, Satan."
Yeah.
And you were saying, like, it's like, oh, you know, he's talking to Satan. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
He's also talking to Peter and
Right.
saying, hey, listen, you are giving ground to
Yes.
Satan in your
He's
life.
saying it all.
You've allowed it. Yeah.
But he's even speaking past Peter and going,
Mm-hmm.
no.
He's giving us something so useful to see.
Right.
Yeah, I'm speaking to fear in my life, and I'm
Right.
speaking to greed in my life, and I'm
Right.
saying that you are not more powerful than God.
Yeah.
And so
That's, yeah.
I think that, you know, that is so powerful to just tell people, like, hey, listen, you just have to start speaking scripture over yourself and saying, I believe it, which is why we did our series on the Bible and why we should believe that.
Yeah. It's good.
Thank you guys so much for being here for the podcast. Next week, we're going to continue in this series. And I think I'm not preaching next week. Am I?
Then it must be.
It's Pastor Rick.
It must be Pastor Rick. I
Wow.
hope.
It
This is.
I know for a fact it
Whoo! Show up on Sunday. Find out who's preaching.
Hey,
Probably
Stay
not.
tuned
Probably
to
not
find out.
Lucas because he's uncertain.
if
But-
not, it's going to be a banger.
You are preaching soon, though.
2 weeks.
Be a
Right.
banger.
But thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for joining us on the podcast. If you like, make sure you like, subscribe, post us, send it to your friends, tell your
Grandma.
kids and your wives.
Tell your grandma to watch the podcast.
Yeah. Catch
She's-
us on
she's got
YouTube or
nothing to
wherever
do.
you find podcasts.
Andrew's mom's gonna watch for sure.
Yay.
Hi, Mom.
Shout out.
Hi, Angie.
We'll see you guys here next time on the 167. If you enjoyed this episode of the 167, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, get notified, leave a 5-star rating and a positive review. Tell all your friends to listen as well. Make sure you go over to newlifegardener.com and check out all that we have to offer as a church, and check out our messages online as well. Thanks for listening.